Hello, my dear students at home. Welcome to St. Charles Online Lesson. I am Onda Emmanuel. I'll be taking on basic technology. Our topic today is transmission of power or motion. Don't forget to observe the social distancing rules. Wash your hands. This is not the time to move from house A to house B. Stay safe. God bless you. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to obtain the following specific objectives. 1. Define drive. 2. List and explain 3 types of drive. 3. State the uses of gear. 4. Draw 2 mesh gear and state the conditions for gears to merge. 5. Calculate gear speed and gear ratio. 6. Explain belt and chain drive. And lastly, number 7, state the advantages and disadvantages of this means of drive. Definitions. What is a drive? Drive means transmission of power or motion from one point to another using gear, belt, and chain. When I say transmission, I mean movement from one place to the other. So when you are transmitting power or motion, that means you are transmitting motion, be it linear motion or rotary motion. We'll talk about that later. And using the means of belt, gear, or chain drives. There are 3 types of drives. 1, you have the gear drive. 2, the belt drive, and the chain drive. Gear and gearing. A gear is a wheel with 2 edges fixed in machine to make different parts move at different speeds or in different directions. The 2 edges of gears help them to merge or engage with one another. Uses of gear. Gears are used for the following operations. 1. To transmit power or motion. For example, when a car is started, it does not start moving immediately until the gear is engaged. This is to say that the gear is used to transmit the power developed by the engine to the road wheels. To change speed. Different gears operate at different speeds. For example, when the car starts from rest, gear 1 is selected to enable the car move at low speed. Gear 2 is then selected for higher speed. For the car to run at a maximum speed, gear 4 or gear 5 is selected. Take for example the ceiling fan. When there is power supply, the ceiling fan does not turn immediately except you put on the regulator or you turn it to 1. I know that 1 has a different running speed from 5. 3. To change direction of rotation. The changing of direction of rotations in a system is achieved by the bevel gears in the rear axle. When I mean rear, I mean at the back of the axle. Gears are also used in motor vehicles, motorcycles, bicycles, clocks. Gearing. When 2 gears are made to work together, or when they are meshed or engaged, it is known as gearing. We have the drive and the driven gears. When the drive and the driven gears are made to function, to work together, it is termed gearing. Conditions for gears to merge or engage. There are certain conditions, students, that gears need to mesh or to engage. When they say mesh or engage, the words can be used interchangeably. They mean absolutely the same thing. 1, the gears must move in opposite directions. When the drive gear is moving right, the driven gear must also move in the same direction. 2, the spacing of the teeth must be equal, the same, or symmetrical. Symmetrical here means the same size. The drive and the driven gears must have the same size, and the teeth must be equal for the gears to move effectively. We'll be talking about gear ratio on this particular slide and gear speed. Gear ratio is defined as the ratio of the number of teeth on the driver and the driven gears. We'll take the first example. Two gears are moving together such that gear A makes 10 revolution. 10 revolution, that's 10 movement, rotational movement, when gear B makes 20. A recap. Two gears are moving together such that gear A makes 10 revolution, when gear B makes 20 revolution. If gear A has 50 teeth, how many teeth has gear B? The solution is very simple. The formula for calculating the gear ratio is speed of gear A, all over speed of gear B is equal to number of teeth on gear B all over number of teeth on gear A. If you have this finger at your fingertips, you can calculate the gear ratio. Now, the speed of two gear wheels are inversely proportional to the number of teeth in the gear wheels. Thus, a recap, the speed of two gear wheels are inversely, that is opposite proportional to the number of teeth in the gear wheels. Thus, speed of gear A all over speed of gear B is equal to number of teeth on gear B all over number of teeth on gear A. Now, don't forget from the question, they say two gears are moving together such that gear A makes 10 revolutions. So the speed of gear A is equal to 10 when gear B makes 20 revolutions. Speed of gear B all over 20 is equal to number of teeth on gear B, which is not known. We have X all over, if gear A has 50 teeth, the teeth on gear A is known, which is 50, while the teeth on gear B is unknown. You now have 10 all over 20 is equal to X all over 50. X is equal to, when you cross and multiply, you have X is equal to 50 times 10 will give you 500 divided by 20. So the number of teeth on gear B is 25. Gear ratio and gear speed. Still the subtopic. Now we're talking about the different types of gear. We have three types of gear displayed here. One is the spur gears. These are the types of gear used for driving two parallel shafts, as in terms of pulley, which make use of a belt drive. We have the bevel gears. These are gears that are used for driving two shafts that are joined at an angle. They are also called helical gears. We have the rack, the third one, which is the rack and the pinion gears. These are gears used for converting rotary motion of the pinion to linear motion of the rack. What we mean rotary motion is a movement in a circular axis. For example, the wall clock, the seconds, the minutes, and the hour, they move in a circular form. That is rotary motion. And the linear motion is a movement on a straight line. For example, the bicycle pump. When you are pumping the bicycle, you are pumping it up and down. It's going up and down. That is on the straight line, while the wall clock rotates on the circular axis. Advantages and disadvantages of gear drive. Students will be looking at the advantages and disadvantages of this gear drive. The advantages are as follows. 1. The gear drive can be used to transmit large power. The gear drive is used to transmit large powers from one place to the other. It has longer service life compared to belt and chain drive. The gear drive lasts longer compared to that of the belt and the chain drives. The gear drive have high transmission efficiency. It works effectively. It is reliable. The disadvantages of the gear drive are as follows. Gear drive is not suitable for transmitting motion over a large distance. You cannot use the gear drive to transmit motion or power over a large distance. They have no flexibility, ability to change. They have no flexibility. 3. They require constant lubrication. When you talk about lubrication, you talk about oil, lubricants that are being applied on the gear drives. So we'll be talking about the belt and the chain drives. We are talking about the gear drive. In this slide, we'll be talking about the belt and the chain drive. Don't forget I said we have different types of drives. We have the gear drives, the belt drives, and the chain drives. So talk about the belt drive. Belts and chains are also used to transmit power, just like gears. Belts and pulleys. This consists of two circular pulleys and a belt connecting the pulleys. Belts are used in conjunction with pulleys. One pulley drives while the other is driven. Belt transmits motion in the same direction. And the general rule is that the smaller the pulley, the faster it turns. And the larger the pulley, the slower it turns. That is, the speed of pulley is inverse, is opposite to the size of the pulleys. If you look at the picture, the pictorials on the slide, you see a pulley with a belt. That's a typical example of a belt drive. Now we have the drive pulley and the driven pulley. Types of belt drives. There are three types of belt drives. One, we have the flat belt drives. The picture is on the slide. The V-belt drive, you can see it, it has a V shape, and the variable speed pulley that are used in different machines. We'll go to the advantages and disadvantages of a belt drive. The advantages of a belt drives are they are simple to use. The belt drive are very, very easy to use. They are also easy or simple to install. You don't need any special skill in order to install a belt drive to a machine or to a pulley. Two, different speeds can be obtained by means of step or tampered pulleys. They have a low maintenance cost. The maintenance of a belt drive is very low. It's not that expensive. It's not as expensive as the chain drive. Dampened noise and vibration. Machines that make use of belt drive reduce noise and vibration, except from the engine itself. Disadvantages of belt drive. One, the major disadvantage of belt drive is that it slips off and may cut off at times. When the belt drive lasts longer on the pulleys of a machine, it is easy for it to slip off and it may cut at any time. And when the load that is being applied on the machine is too much, the belt drive can slip off at any time. They have a short service life. You cannot use the chain drive or the gear drive like the belt drive. The belt drive can be used, let's say a month. It depends on the machine that is being used, a month or two. Example of belt drives are found in one, the sewing machine. The sewing machine makes use of a belt drive. The air pumping machine used by the roadside vulcanizers make use of the belt drive. The pepper or corn grinding machine that is used in the markets also make use of belt drives. The electric grinding machine also makes use of belt drive. All these machines that are listed below makes use of belt drives. On this slide, we'll be talking about the chain drive. The chain drive works in the same way as the belt drive. It is a reliable and efficient method of transmitting power. Unlike in belt drive, where pulleys are used to drive the belt, gears, that is sprockets, are used to drive the chain. The belt drive works with pulleys. It is used in conjunction with pulleys, while the chain drive is used in conjunction with sprockets. The major advantage of chain drive over the belt drive is that belt slips off in event of an excessive load. When there is excessive load that has been applied on the machine that is being used, that is making use of a belt drive, the belt slips off. But the chain drive does not. For this reason, chain can drive for a longer period of time than the belt drive when they are all well lubricated. You can see the pictures of the sprockets and the chains and the rolling chains. That is the sprockets. If you have a bicycle, or if you have seen a bicycle before, the pictures on the board, the pictures on the slide, they are called sprockets. They are used in conjunction with chains, while pulleys are used in conjunction with belts. And they need constant lubrication. That is application of oil to the sprockets. Examples of chain drive are found in bicycles, motorcycles, trains, etc. Advantages of chain drive: they are very efficient. They are high efficient. So it has a low maintenance cost. The chain drive have a low maintenance cost. They are very easy to maintain. Chain drive do not deteriorate due to sunlight, oil, grease, or age. You can use the chain for a very long period of time. It is not affected by oil, by grease, or age, or due to sunlight, especially when they are well lubricated from time to time. They can operate in wet condition. You can use the chain drive. Sometimes, take for example, the bicycle. You have what is called the chain cover. If you don't want grease to affect the chain drive, you can cover it with a cover. They have a chain cover that is used to cover it from wet conditions. Then you can use it in wet and dry conditions. The disadvantages of chain drives are as follows. One, initial cost of installation is very high. The chain drive is very high compared to the belt drive. Chain drive need regular lubrication. I've said this earlier. Regular application of what? Oil to the parts that needs to be lubricated. 3, chain drive are noisy and can cause vibration. The machine that make use of these chain drives, they are noisy and they cause vibrations. We're talking about the advantages. Let's look at the advantages of belt and chain drives over gear drive. The advantages of belt and chain drives. 1, belt and chain drives are mostly applied for long distance transmission, while gear drives are not. They are the most commonly used methods in power transmission. They are more flexible, that's ability to change, than gear drives. Advantages of gear drives over belt and chain drives are as follows. 1, gear drives are easier and more efficient in the operation of machines, as no belt change is employed. Gear drives give the surroundings more room for safety, as the use of gears help to eliminate the unsightly shaft and belt. And thirdly, gear drives easily vary the power units. Differences between belt and chain drives include: 1, the belt can easily slip off under heavy load, but chains cannot. 2, belt can easily cut, but chain lasts longer. Belt is cheaper and more readily available, while chain is more expensive. Belt is connected to pulley, which have grooves around the circumference, while chain is connected to sprockets with toothed edges. My dear students, at this juncture, we'll be talking about the direction of change. At times, it becomes necessary for machines such as lorries, trains, cars, etc. to change or reverse their direction. This is achieved by a typical reverse gear arrangement. In gears, the most common form of change of motion or direction using gears is called bevel gears. The only situation in which belts can be used to direction of motion is by the use of crossed belts, as done in some motor engines. My dear students, we have come to the end of this lesson, and I would love to evaluate you with the following questions. 1, define a drive. 2, list 3 types of drive. 3, mention any 3 uses of gears. 4, draw 2 mesh gears, indicate the driver and the driven gears. 5, 2 gears are moving together such that gear A makes 20 revolutions when gear B makes 40 revolutions. If gear A has 70 teeth, how many teeth has gear B? That's gear ratio. You have to calculate that. 6, pulley is to belt drive as dash is to chain drive. And lastly, number 7, state 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages of belt and chain drive. Answer these following questions. Send them to my WhatsApp contacts on the slide: 081 6253 4846. Or you can as well email me at Onda Emmanuel 9 at gmail.com. Floriat.